Okay, our next topic is IDT, that is interrupt descriptor table. So you are familiar with three types of table that are present in protected mode of 80386. So those three types of tables are, first one is GDT, global descriptor table. How many GDT we can have? Only one, it is compulsory table. Then second one is LDT, it is optional, we can have 0 or more LDTs. And third table is IDT, that is interrupt descriptor table. So all these tables, they contain descriptor. GDT, LDT, IDT, all these three types of table contain descriptor. We have seen format of segment descriptor. So size of segment descriptor is 64-bit segment descriptor. Again, they are of two types, system and non-system. So if yes bit present in segment descriptor is 0, we can say that it is system, otherwise it is non-system. In non-system, again, we have seen different types like code, data, style. Okay, so all these descriptors are present in GDT, LDT as well as IDT. So when the descriptor present in GDT will be selected, and when a descriptor present in LDT will be selected. Yes, so in order to select the descriptor from descriptor table, we use, yes, what we use segment selector. So we have seen format of segment selector. So size of segment selector is 16-bit. So those 16 bits are divided in three parts. First 13 bits are called as index field. Next 1 bit is called as TI bit, and next 2 bits are called as RPL, requested privilege level. So what is role of TI bit? So TI bit, if it is equal to 0, which table will be selected? If TI bit is equal to 0, then descriptor will be selected. GDT will be selected. If TI bit is equal to 0, then the descriptor, one of the descriptor present in GDT will be selected. And if TI bit is equal to 1, TI stands for table indicator. So if it is equal to 1, which table will be selected? Local descriptor table. So this TI bit talks only about GDT and LDT. Okay, if it is equal to 0, then select GDT, and if it is equal to 1, select LDT. So the question is that when IDT is selected, when descriptor present in IDT is selected, the name itself indicates it is a interrupt descriptor table. So it is a table of descriptor which are related with interrupt. So whenever any interrupt occur, then one of the descriptor present in IDT should get selected. Okay, so are you getting now what is IDT? It is an array of a descriptor. And when descriptor present in IDT are selected, whenever any interrupt occur. Okay, now in IDT we can have how many descriptor? 256. Why 256 descriptor? Because 80386 can recognize 256 interrupt which has got 256 vector number starting from 0 to 255. 80386 cannot recognize vector number greater than 255. Okay, so that's why in IDT we should have maximum 256 descriptor. Okay, so consider this diagram. So here consider this table. So assume that this table represent IDT. So here I have shown one descriptor 0, then descriptor 1, descriptor 2. In this way, in IDT, I can have how many descriptor? 256. Last descriptor will be 255, as we are starting descriptor numbers with 0. So what is size of each descriptor? It is 8 byte, 64-bit, 8 bytes. Okay, so descriptor 0 will occupy how many bytes of IDT? 8 bytes. Okay, so let's assume that offset address starting from 0 to 7. Okay, so 0 to 7, this offset address of IDT will correspond to descriptor 0. Then descriptor 1 of IDT will occupy next 8 offset address, that is 8 to 15. Then descriptor 2 will be present at memory location whose offset address is 16. Okay, so 16 to 23, this offset address of IDT will be given to descriptor 2. Okay, so in this way we can have 256 descriptor. Now you may place more than 256 descriptor in the IDT. Yes, it is possible. You can have more than 256 descriptor. You can place you can create more than 256 descriptor, and you can copy them in IDT. But there is no point in keeping more than 256 descriptor, because 80386 is not going to select those descriptors which are stored after this descriptor 255 in IDT, because a maximum vector number that can be generated in 80386 is only 255. Okay, so that's why if we keep a descriptor above this descriptor 255 in IDT, those descriptor will never be selected by 80386. So there is no point in creating more than 256 descriptor as far as IDT is concerned. Then in IDT you can keep less than 256 descriptor also. Okay, as I told you that in IDT you can keep more than 256 descriptor, as well as you can also keep less than 256 descriptor. So what will happen if we keep more than 256 descriptor, that we have discussed. But if we keep less than 256 descriptor in IDT, what will happen? Whether it will create any problem? Yes, definitely it is going to create the problem. Okay, so let's assume that in IDT I have kept only 100 descriptor. Okay, and some interrupt occur, and that interrupt is corresponding to or that interrupt is pointing to the descriptor which is not present, which is currently not present in that IDT, which is not present in that first 100 descriptor. So this is a problem. Okay, so 80386 will consider it as an error condition, and again one exception will be generated. Now it is a general protection fault. Okay, general protection fault, it is one type of exception. So that exception will be generated if the descriptor if required descriptor is not present in the IDT. Okay, so you should always keep at least this 256 descriptor in IDT. So keeping descriptor less than 256 is not recommended. It may create problem. Then whenever some interrupt occur, what processor does? Processor will multiply interrupt number, that is vector number, by 8, and then it is used as index in IDT. Let's try to understand it. Okay, so in IDT how many descriptor we are having? 256. So the first descriptor which is first descriptor 0. So this first descriptor will correspond to type 0 interrupt. Which is type 0 interrupt? Yes, it is divided by 0. The next descriptor will correspond to type 1 interrupt, which is type 1 interrupt. Yes, it is debug exception. Then next descriptor, that is descriptor 2, will correspond to type 2 interrupt, which is type 2 interrupt. Yes, it is NMI. So it is expected that if some interrupt is arrived on NMI pin, then which descriptor present in IDT should be selected? Then this descriptor 2 present in IDT should be selected. Are you getting? So for each interrupt we have one descriptor in IDT. So the first descriptor will always correspond to type 0 interrupt, and last descriptor will correspond to type 255 interrupt. So suppose divide by 0 error occurs. If divide by 0 error occur, then which descriptor present in this IDT should be selected? So divide by 0, what is the type number, what is vector number of divide by 0 error? 80386 knows that divide by 0 error has vector number 0. So what 80386 will do? 80386 will multiply that vector number by 8. Now in this case it is 0, so 0 will be multiplied by 8, result is 0. So which descriptor present in IDT will be selected? So the descriptor 0, which is starting at offset address 0, will be selected. Okay, then descriptor 2. So if I want to select, if type 2 interrupt occur, which is type 2 interrupt? NMI. Okay, if type 2 interrupt occur, we want to select the descriptor 2. So how this descriptor 2 will be selected by 80386? So 80386 will multiply a vector number of this interrupt. So what is vector number of this interrupt? It is 2. 2 is multiplied by 8, result is 16. So which descriptor present in IDT will be selected? The descriptor 2, which is stored at offset address 16, will be selected. So try to understand how 80386 is calculating offset address of the descriptor. So for that, what it does, simply it will multiply type number by 8, and then it will use it as an index into the IDT. Clear? Okay. Now this IDT can be stored anywhere in the main memory. Okay. So this IDT, which contains 256 descriptor, can be stored anywhere in main memory. So if we can keep this IDT anywhere in main memory, then question is that how we can locate it. So in order to locate it, in order to locate this IDT, we will require one register. And what is the name of that register? It is IDTR. So IDTR, it is 48-bit register. When we discuss programmer model, register model of 80386, at that time I told you that IDTR register is a 48-bit register which is used to store base address and limit of IDT. Okay, so see this diagram. So on this side you can find IDT, interrupt descriptor table. Interrupt descriptor table, it contain descriptors. Okay, first descriptor will correspond to which interrupt: interrupt 0, interrupt 1, interrupt 2, and so on. And on this side you can find IDTR register. So what this IDTR register contain? Total size is 48 bit. Out of that 48 bit, 32 bits are used to store base address of the IDT, and 16 bits are used to store limit of the IDT. Okay, 16 bits are used to store limit of IDT. So I hope this is clear to you, IDTR register. Now there are two instructions which are related with IDTR register. By using that instruction, either you can copy some value in IDTR register, or you can copy value in IDTR register, or you can load content of IDTR register in some memory location. So which are the two instructions? So first one is LIDT. LIDT stands for load interrupt descriptor table register. So LIDT instruction should be used if you want to copy some value in IDTR register. If you want to change content of IDTR register, then you should use LIDT instruction. So whether any program should be allowed to execute LIDT, okay, the program which is present at privilege level 3, privilege level 2, 1, 0. So any program should be allowed to change content of IDTR register? No. Okay, so IDT, it is one of the important system table. Okay, so the application program which are running at privilege level 3, they should not be allowed to change content of IDTR register. Okay, so that's why this LIDT instruction is made privileged instruction in 80386. We have seen in 80386 there are total 19 privileged instruction. And which are those instructions? So the instructions which are used to store some value in GDTR register or IDTR register or LDTR register or TR register, all these instructions are classified or are considered as a privileged instruction. Okay, so this LIDT instruction is a privilege, so it can be executed only if current privilege level is equal to 0. Okay, so other programs which are running at privilege level 1, 2, 3, they are not allowed to change content of IDTR register by using LIDT. Please try to understand it. Then second instruction which is used, which is related with IDTR, is SIDT. So by using SIDT instruction, what you can do, you can copy content of IDTR into some memory location. See, here we are not changing content of IDTR. What we are doing, we are simply copying content of IDTR in some memory location. So for this you can use SIDT instruction. So SIDT instruction, it is not privileged. Okay, so by using SIDT, we are not going to change content of IDTR register, just we can observe content of IDTR register. So that's why this SIDT instruction, it is not privileged. Okay, so this instruction can be executed at any privileged level. So in assignment number 6 of microprocessor lab, you have used this SIDT instruction. There you used SGDT instruction. You have observed content of GDTR, IDTR, LDTR, okay, MSW. So these store instructions, they are not privileged, but load instructions, they are privileged. I hope it is clear to you. Then next point is descriptors in IDT. So in IDT we can have 3 types of descriptor. So which are those 3 types of descriptor? First one is interrupt gate, second one is trap gate, and third one is task gate descriptor. In IDT we cannot have a descriptor other than these 3. Please note it. Okay, in IDT we can have only these 3 types of descriptor: interrupt gate, trap gate, task gate. No other descriptors are allowed. So what is type of interrupt gate descriptor? It is 14. What is type of trap gate descriptor? It is 15. What is type of task gate descriptor? It is 5. So task gate descriptor is already discussed in multitasking. So what is role of task gate descriptor? Actually it contains only selector which is responsible for selecting TSS descriptor. So I will advise you to go through multitasking. Okay, first. So first of all, try to understand this task gate descriptor in multitasking, and then you try to understand role of task gate descriptor in interrupt and exception handling. Okay, so we'll discuss this point later. So this point is clear. In IDT we can have this 3 descriptor. Now observe their name. So in name of each and every descriptor you will find this word gate, gate, gate. So all the descriptors in IDT are gate descriptor. So I told you that whenever we will come across this name, that is gate descriptor. So whether that gate descriptor will contain base address and limit. What is use of segment descriptor? We are saying that segment descriptors are used to store base address and limit of the segment. Segment descriptor contain all information about the segment. So this gate descriptor, it is also one type of segment descriptor. But whether whether this gate descriptor defines a segment, whether they defines any memory area, no, they does not define any memory area. Okay, gate descriptor does not define any memory area, so they will not contain base address, they will not contain limit. Then what they contain? They contain generally selector, okay, and in some case offset. So we are going to see format of interrupt gate, trap gate and task gate. So please try to understand what is similarity here. All these descriptors are gate descriptors. So when I say that some descriptor is gate, it will not contain base address and limit, it will contain only selector. Okay, now see, this is format of task gate descriptor. So what is type of task gate descriptor? So just observe these 4 bits. So in case of system descriptor, we have seen that a bit becomes part of type field. So in the year, what is size of type field? It is 4 bits. So observe this 4 bit 0101. So 0101 means it is type 5. Okay, so type 5 means task gate descriptor. Then next, interrupt gate. So observe these 4 bits 1110. 1110 means it is 14. Okay, so type 14 means it is interrupt gate. And what is type of trap gate descriptor? It is 1111. So 4 times 1 means it is type 15. Okay, so type 15, it is a trap gate descriptor. Okay, and most of the other fields are same. Okay, so here we have selector, here we have selector, here also we have selector. Only difference is regarding offset address. In task gate there is no offset address. Okay, task gate contain only selector, and interrupt gate and trap gate, they contain offset. Okay, we have seen format of call gate descriptor. Do you remember? In call gate descriptor we have seen we have selector as well as offset address. Okay, so in same way here this interrupt gate and trap gate, they also contain selector and offset. So working of this interrupt gate and trap gate is somewhat similar to the call gate descriptor. If you understood call gate descriptor, you can easily understand what is the role of how interrupt gate and trap gate descriptor works in protected mode. Okay, and other fields already you know what is P, what is DPL. So this is about different descriptors which are present in IDD. Okay, so now let's try to understand this interrupt gate and trap gate. What is use of selector and what is use of offset address that is present in interrupt gate and trap gate descriptor. So here I will like to take one example. So consider this diagram. So what is it? Suppose this is code segment, right? This is one code segment. Assume that this is executable segment, that is it is code segment, and in this code segment suppose somewhere here we have ISR 0. So what is ISR 0? It is a interrupt service routine which will provide service to interrupt whose type number is 0. Okay, so which is type 0 interrupt? So type 0 interrupt is divided by 0 interrupt. So whenever type 0 interrupt occur, which ISR should be executed? This ISR 0 should be executed. So in this way we can have how many ISR in main memory? We can have total 256 ISR. Each ISR will correspond to one interrupt. Are you getting? So assume that we want to write ISR for type 0 interrupt. So what we will do, suppose here we have written that ISR and we have kept that ISR in this code segment. So this code segment, it will have some base address, it will have some limit. Okay, so in protected mode I told you that if you want to access even single byte of main memory, for that single byte what you have to do, you have to create the segment descriptor. Without segment descriptor it is not possible to access even single byte of main memory. So if I want to define this part of main memory as a code segment, what I have to do? I have to create code segment descriptor. Okay, so let's assume that here we have created code segment descriptor. Okay, so this is code segment descriptor. We have already seen how to create this segment descriptors. Okay, so this code segment descriptor will contain all information about this code segment. So what information, like what is base address of code segment, then what is limit of this code segment, what is type of this code segment, what is privilege level of this code segment. So all this information will come in this code segment descriptor. So try to understand the sequence. Here what we have done, we have created one code segment. In that code segment we have kept ISR of type 0 interrupt. For that code segment we have created code segment descriptor. Now this code segment descriptor should be stored either in GDT or LDT. Can I keep this code segment descriptor in IDT? No, we have seen that in IDT only 3 types of descriptors are allowed, that is trap gate, interrupt gate and task gate. We cannot keep this code segment descriptor in IDT. Okay, so this code segment descriptor you should keep either in GDT or LDT. Okay, is it clear? Now tell me, suppose I want to start execution of this ISR. If I want to start execution of this ISR, what I will need, what things I will need, what things I must know? I must know base address of the code segment in which that ISR is present. Okay, after obtaining that base address, I must know offset address of this ISR. Okay, so let's try to understand how these two things will be obtained by 80386 whenever type 0 interrupt will occur. Okay, so till now what we have done, we have created code segment. For that code segment we have created code segment descriptor. We have placed that code segment descriptor either in GDT or LDT. So it is recommended that you should keep this segment descriptor which points to the code segment which contain ISR. So you should keep such type of segment descriptors in GDT only, so that they can be accessed by all the tasks. Okay, now come to the next descriptor table, that is IDT. So in IDT you will have how many entries? 256 entries, 256 descriptor. So the first descriptor, that is descriptor 0. So descriptor 0 will correspond to which interrupt? Type 0 interrupt. Okay, so when this descriptor 0 will be selected, so this descriptor 0 will be selected whenever type 0 interrupt occur. Okay, so when type 0 interrupt occur, what 80386 will do? 80386 will multiply a vector number of that interrupt. What is the vector number of that type 0? It is 0. So 0 will be multiplied by 8, and which descriptor present in IDT will be selected? So the descriptor which is stored at offset address 0 in IDT will be selected. So that point already I explained, just now I explained. Now this descriptor 0, okay, it can be either interrupt gate or trap gate. Okay, so here I am not considering task gate. So first of all we will try to understand interrupt gate and trap gate, and then we will move to the task gate. So let's assume that the descriptor 0, okay, which is corresponding to type 0 interrupt is suppose interrupt gate or trap gate descriptor. We have seen format of interrupt gate and trap gate. What interrupt gate and trap gate contain? So both gate descriptor contains selector as well as offset field. Okay, so here the question is that what is role of this selector? What value you should store in this selector, and what value you should store in this offset address? Are you getting? So what is our aim? Our aim is that we want to start execution of ISR 0. If type 0 interrupt occur, what is our aim? We want to start execution of ISR 0. I already told you that in order to start execution of ISR 0, I will require two things. First one is base address of the code segment which contain this ISR, and I will require offset address of this ISR. Okay, so I will get base address of this code segment from this code segment descriptor. But the question is that how to select this code segment descriptor? Okay, so see what is sequence here. If type 0 interrupt occur, which descriptor in IDT will be selected? This descriptor 0 will be selected. Now this descriptor 0, it can be either interrupt gate or trap gate. So both descriptor contain selector field. So what you should do, you should load value in this selector field such that a selector will select this code segment descriptor which is present either in GDT or LDT. Okay, so what is role of selector? What is role of selector that is present in this interrupt gate or trap gate descriptor? So that selector is responsible for selecting code segment descriptor. Okay, what is our aim? Type 0 interrupt has occurred, so we want to transfer control to ISR 0. Okay, so in order to start execution of ISR 0, I will require information about code segment. In order to obtain information of code segment, I will require I have to access code segment descriptor. So how this code segment descriptor will be accessed? So this code segment descriptor will be accessed by the selector which is present in this interrupt gate or trap gate. Okay, so you should load some proper value in selector field of this gate descriptor. Okay, so that selector will select which descriptor? Code segment descriptor. Is it clear? So what interrupt gate or trap gate descriptor contain? It will always contain a selector which will always point to the executable segment descriptor, that is code segment descriptor. Okay, and this code segment descriptor will give me base address of the code segment. Now I have obtained a base address of code segment. Now what I want offset address. So from where this offset address of this ISR0 can be obtained. So offset address of this ISR0 should be stored again in this interrupt gate or trap gate descriptor. Okay, so this is offset address. This is use of offset address. Okay, so try to understand, when you want to create interrupt gate or trap gate descriptor, which value you should load in selector and which value you should load in offset address. So which value you should load in selector? So you should load selector for this code segment descriptor in either interrupt gate or trap gate descriptor. And which value you should load in this offset address? So in this offset address field of this gate descriptor, you should load offset address of this ISR. Is it clear? Okay, now let's try to understand it with the help of again diagram. Okay, so here IDT is there, then LDT or GDT is there, then what is it? It is executable segment, that is code segment. Okay, and this code segment contain somewhere here suppose one ISR. Okay, now see what is happening. Whenever some interrupt occur, what will happen? That interrupt will have some vector number associated with it. So that vector number will be multiplied by 8, and then one of the descriptor present in IDT will be selected. Okay, so let's assume that that descriptor is either a trap gate or interrupt gate. Okay, so what trap gate and interrupt gate descriptor contain? They contain selector field. What is use of that selector field? So that selector field will select segment descriptor. Okay, and this segment descriptor should point to the executable segment which contain our required ISR. Okay, so now we have obtained base address of this executable segment. Now what we need offset address of this ISR. From where offset address of this ISR can be obtained? Yes, it is obtained from the trap gate or interrupt gate descriptor itself. So this trap gate or interrupt gate descriptor contain one offset address field. So that offset address is nothing but it is offset address of that ISR which is to be executed. So in this way, whenever any interrupt occur by using IDT, control will be transferred to the ISR. Okay, so we have talked only about trap gate and interrupt gate. We have not discussed anything about task gate. So this is about IDT and various descriptors that are present in IDT. Thank you.